I made a deal with my husband in '82. If he would take care of Erica and Andy, I would take Jim out to the pageant. He still blames me for that. And I get to be in the show because I had a yen to get back on the stage. So I did, and the rest is history. So, and he put, and as he said to me, I have to get involved or I'll never see you in the summer. So, I'd been out there, by this time I'd been out there 8 years, and so in '90, when I see, according to this list here, is when he came on board at the set crew, which was a wild bunch of people. I think, I don't know how long things you can be prosecuted for, but a lot of fun. They had a good time. They wore suspenders I sold in the T-shirt booth, the red, wide suspenders over plaid shirts, and they just had a good time, and he enjoyed it very much. And we were able to spend our time together out there. It's probably by that time, '90. I had a couple kids in the show maybe, and it was easier for him to be out there. And so we became kind of a partner, but we never drove the same cars because he would leave so late. He would do so many things, and I wasn't probably getting ahead of myself here, but one of the things when he finally was working on the lights was the smoke machines drove him absolutely crazy. He couldn't get them to work perfectly. Some nights there'd be very little. Some nights you couldn't even see to get out on the set. Yeah, that was a huge issue. Yeah. So after the set crew, and when he became lighting director, which I would laugh about with people, I would laugh by myself and laugh with people because he was not anti-theater, but close to it. And here is this man doing lighting for the pageant. And it was a giggle thing. And he took it very seriously, as you know. And those late nights with you guys out there setting those lights for the show each year, and with the boom truck and Ed Erickson out there, and a lot of work.
Of course, you got to have bugs.
Oh well, how many moths do you have to swallow to be a real pageant person?
That's right.
Yeah, you got to chew too.
Yeah, yum.
One night, the church went off the tracks, which it would be prone to do because the rocks, I think, would get in the way. And I came out on the set, and I was delivering my lines, and out of the corner of my eye, I could see Marv's legs hanging out from underneath, and he and Shorty Horning were underneath that set, prying it up on the railroad tracks. I remember that kind of stuff, that. And stuff would go wrong, and they'd have to troubleshoot. He and his brother Roger built the first T-shirt booth in the shop one winter, and my sister-in-law Linda was in charge of that T-shirt booth for years while I was on the show, and then she and I would do the ordering, and she would do the managing, and she would get people to work. But that was a movable building. They'd come out, slap wheels on it, haul it over to the Pioneer Festival, and then bring it back at night and put it in position. So I was ready, Linda could get started selling. And and it worked for years. And the old one was kind of weak. It was like a fish house. And but it served its purpose for many years, and it was well built because nothing those boys built wasn't built to last. And and I got a kick out of that too. A lot of invested time. A lot of time by all these guys, but my husband was out there a lot. At one point, we had all the new chairs out in our shop, and he was spray painting numbers on them. And he got me out there, and I was none too happy. I thought, this is not what I do, I'm an actress. That was not something I said. Believe me, I never said that out loud. There was no end to the work. I don't think people do not have a clue that haven't been part of it. The gas line. The gas line was another thing that, for one thing, dangerous. It scared me all the time. When I did Caroline, I thought, I'm not going to live through this. And that was another thing I know that he concerned himself with, as a lot of those guys did. Is this going to work? Is this going to fire when it's supposed to fire? And if there's smoke rolling in and there's no fire, it's going to be a little strange. So that was that was another thing. And the boxes, I think he rebuilt those boxes out there. that hold a lot of equipment. I remember him going out and putting up the street signs. He and Gary and Kathy Castle, they were, he and Gary were quite a team, those two. And Kathy, and they did so much. The fun we had backstage, I mean, it was just phenomenal. And we had some, now I am that age, but a lot of really older people in the show. And you'd sit back there and visit with them, and it was just so fun. And camaraderie. And you're doing it together. And we're in this together kind of attitude. And proud of what we did and proud of our town. As this guy asked me at the museum one time, "Lady, what do you do here for fun?" I said, This is what we do for fun. How much are you willing to do out there on that set, as far as a performer? How much are you willing to give to that? Because what you're trying to do, like you said, is make a connection. And I think we've had some audiences that they were with you the whole time, and you've had others that you never got because you knew when it was over, they didn't make any connection. They didn't feel anything. If a woman came up to you and said, "Oh, I cried so when you left Walnut Grove," and I thought, well, there you go. It was a wonderful experience, and I think my husband, back to what Marv did, and he worked so hard. He was very proud of what we were doing out there, and took pride in how they did it. And there were so many good people he worked with over the years, and they would work together so well. And he would talk about that so and so came out, and we were able to get this done, and on their time. But then a farmer, his summer is a little bit of a downtime, so he had time to do that sort of thing. But people that came out and gave time and then went to work on Monday, when we were doing Sunday night performances, that was rough. That was rough on them.
Yeah.
And of course, you started practicing beginning of June, so school was out and away you went. And Marv and I were lucky. We had all 3 kids in the show, and we had 4 grandchildren that were all in the show too. So that was kind of fun to see the generations. Yeah. Well, he had a real interesting sense of humor.
Oh gosh, yes.
And the first year I did Old Laura, Deb Keel insisted that, and I was 46, and she insisted that I come across as 70, the age that Laura was when she wrote the books, in that vintage. And so it was with the powder in the hair and the wrinkles, and she gave me a pair of shoes too tight so that I slowed my walk down, and it really did because my feet really hurt. So anyway, I do the first act, the half of the show. It's intermission. Some guy comes up to Marv up by the tech booth, and they were always coming up and asking him questions. How'd you do that? How'd you do that? And they said, you're making that old woman work too hard. And he goes, you'd be surprised how old she is. Yeah, for a man who almost was anti-theater. He poured everything he had into it and enjoyed it, and enjoyed his time out there. And when it was done, it was done. And so we're both battle-scarred veterans. We are.